October 31st, Friday of the 30th week. Luke 14, 1 to 6. The Sabbath is not only a day to rest, but more importantly, a sacred day dedicated to worship the Creator of man and of the Sabbath. To worship God does not consist only in going to church, memorizing prayers, and shouting Alleluia. More importantly, we worship in spirit and in truth, meaning we worship with the sincerity, humility, and love in our heart, as well as with the faith, knowing fully well that we are worshipping the one true God who loves us so much. Our worship is not sincere if we worship only with our lips and without compassion for our fellow men. Thus, observing the Sabbath or Sunday for that matter is meaningless if we lack compassion for people in need. This does not mean that participating in church activities and performing rituals are no longer important. It only means they should not hinder us for doing what is necessary, such as meeting an emergency. Luke records 4 episodes where Jesus heals on the Sabbath. The enemies of Jesus condemned him for this. They reasoned, to heal is to work, and to work is to violate the Sabbath. Today, Jesus is dining at the home of a leading Pharisee. As always, the Pharisees were carefully observing Jesus. In the crowd close to Jesus was a man who suffered from dropsy. Jesus noticed the man. Jesus addressed the scholars of the law and the Pharisees in the crowd and asked them, "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not?" They did not respond. They all remained silent. Then Jesus healed the man. Jesus then asked them, "If one of you has a child or an ox fall into a cistern on the Sabbath, would you not immediately pull your child or your ox out of the cistern, even though it is the Sabbath?" In other words, Jesus says in effect, why is it all right to help an animal, but not all right to help a person? However, the Pharisees remained silent. They were unwilling or afraid to answer Jesus' question. For Jesus, love was the supreme law. For the Pharisees, the letter of the law reigned supreme. Jesus is not denying that the Sabbath is important. Rather, he simply states that God's intention for the Sabbath was to do good and to heal. Jesus always followed the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the law. Dear friends, the spirit of the law of God is love. Thus, if we always strive to be loving, we also will do good, and perhaps we also may heal by our loving actions. Wishing you a good day, Father Paul, CSSR from Kerala.